So you're here because you want to learn how you can start building MOCs. As somebody who got into this not too long ago, I really don't feel like there's a whole lot of great content that covers some of the topics that I want to go through today. I think there are some important things that you need to know so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Let's get into it. To start with, MOC stands for My Own Creation, and this refers to anything you build out of Lego that doesn't use instructions. This can be anything from modifying existing sets to creating your own builds completely from scratch. For those of you who don't know, most of my builds are related to Star Wars, but the advice I want to share with you today should be applicable to just about any theme out there. I started building MOCs in the summer of 2022, and that means it's only been about 7 or 8 months since I got into this. That's not a super long time in the grand scheme of things, but what it means is that I've gone through a lot of the things that I want to talk to you guys about today somewhat recently. I was interested in MOC building for about a year before I started building anything of my own. I was watching videos on YouTube, I was buying parts, I was learning building techniques. I was doing everything except for actually building my own creations. I was procrastinating getting started. Are you procrastinating? You gotta stop that. You need to start building. And you might be saying, but how am I supposed to do this? I can't build this, I can't build that. I don't even know where to get started. No worries, you're good. That's why I'm here. We're gonna figure it out. And just like anything else, it all starts with taking the first step. The reason you don't know where to start is because either you don't have a plan or you don't have enough parts. Or maybe it's both. Here's how you can fix these two problems. To start with, you need to know what you want to build. What are you interested in making? I recommend doing a couple things. You can go on Instagram, take a look at some other people's builds. You can look at your minifigure collection and see what you've got to get some inspiration from that. Hopefully one of those things can spark an idea to start. When I was a kid, I would get frustrated when I was trying to make a build, usually because I didn't have enough parts or I didn't have a certain piece that I was trying to use. Looking back on this, I realized that this is because I was trying to build MOCs using only the parts that came in the sets that I was buying. Now don't get me wrong, you can get very creative with parts from sets that you already own. I mean, just go check out Rebrickable. You can see some awesome stuff that people have made that are alt builds of existing sets. And they don't even deviate from the parts that are available in that set. But for me, I knew that I wanted to make builds that had terrain and cohesive color schemes. I wanted things to look a certain way. The fact is, you probably don't have what you need to make what you want with just the sets that you own. You need some fundamentals. You may be asking, what does that mean, fundamentals? Well, it's different for everybody because people want to build different things. If you want to build landscapes and terrain, fundamentals might be in earth tone colors, and they may be plates, tiles, slopes, or foliage pieces. If you're interested in making your own Star Wars ships, you might need certain Technic pieces to build the frames of your ships, or wedges to get those specific angles down. I recommend taking note of what parts people seem to be using frequently, and then you can start to create a list of parts that you think you might need to acquire. If you don't know what certain parts are called, don't worry, I'll give you a solution to that in just a minute here. It's easy to look at builds like this and think, wow, those builds are huge. They look super expensive and I don't know how to build anything like that. I'm gonna need you to stop thinking like that. We're gonna start with building something small. And if you really wanna make bigger builds, you can do that in time. But it's gonna require a large investment in parts and it's probably gonna take you a while to where you wanna be with your building skills anyways. There are plenty of incredible builds out there that really aren't all that big. Just because a build is big does not mean that it's necessarily good. Working on smaller builds will also allow you to try different building techniques as you hone your skills and make different types of MOCs. The next suggestion I have for you is to focus. When I started developing an interest in MOC building, I actually had like 10 different build ideas and I started collecting parts for those all at the same time. I was not focused. I was buying parts to build Hoth, Kashyyyk, and Geonosis all at the same time. And those builds have pretty much nothing in common with each other. Every time I would place an order on Bricklink, I was looking through stores for other minifigures and parts in different colors that I thought I might have use for in a future build. This is a great way to waste your money and start feeling like this hobby is way more expensive than it needs to be. I want to encourage you to pick one build to start with and just focus on that one until you're done with it. And that all starts by choosing a color scheme for your build. By choosing a color scheme for your first build, you're going to start getting those fundamentals in just a couple of colors. And now that you have those, you own them and you can reuse them. That's the beauty of Lego. Is money tight this month and you still feel like making a MOC? Take apart one of your old builds and reuse the colors to make something completely different. Maybe money's looking good this month and you just got that extra bonus from work or something like that. You can start expanding if you want to and get a few more colors to work with. The more you do this, the more options you have for the future, and now you have a strategy for progressively growing your parts collection. So now that you know what you want to build from what you decided earlier, you know what parts you need, and you know what colors you're trying to work with, it's time to actually start buying pieces. There are plenty of places that you can go to get parts, but we're going to focus on just a few here to keep things short. The best places to get parts for building MOCs are going to be either from Bricklink or directly from LEGO. If you have plenty of time on your hands, you can go to your local LEGO resale store and you can dig through their parts bin, or you can try and snipe a few deals on Facebook Marketplace. In reality though, it's going to be pretty time consuming to get all those parts, sort them, wash them, and then pull out the stuff that's actually useful. Those options can be fantastic for trying to find interesting pieces, and it can actually be a lot of fun to go dig through parts bins and learn about pieces that you didn't even know existed. But if you're just trying to get fundamentals, or you're in a time crunch, or you need a bunch of the same piece, Bricklink and directly from LEGO are really going to be the best resources for you. LEGO has Pick-a-Brick Online, which lets you order brand new pieces straight from the factory on their website. It's a great service, but some parts take a long time to arrive, and if you're looking for a piece that's not in production anymore, you're not going to be able to find it there. In LEGO retail stores, you can buy parts directly from the Pick-a-Brick wall, which has a bit more of a limited selection, but you can get some really good deals if you find the right pieces there. I actually made a video about the Pick-a-Brick wall, so if you want some more information on that, you can click the link on the screen now and watch that after you've finished watching this video. At the end of the day though, the best place to go if you want to buy just about any minifigure or part that's ever been made is Bricklink. If you've never used Bricklink before, I also made a video about that, so you can check that out again with the link on the screen right now after we're done here. That video also includes information about how you can identify parts when you don't know what they're called. But let's keep things moving here. So once you've placed your order and you've received your parts, it's time to start building. I'm going to talk from my experience of making Star Wars related builds, but you should be able to take these principles and apply them to pretty much anything else. So I usually start my builds out by marking out the main places that I want certain elements to go on the base plate. This helps me maintain scale and proper spacing when I start building. It's at this point in the process that I start to consider the viewer's perspective. How are people going to look at my build? And what do I want them to see? For example, if you're building something to display at a convention or it's going to be in the center of a room or something like that, it needs to look good from all angles. But if you're building something for just the intent of photographing it or maybe posting it on social media, you can do all kinds of things behind the scenes where people can't actually see it to achieve some really interesting looks. And it doesn't matter what it looks like because nobody can see that part of your build. A more general tip here is to make sure when you're laying your build out that you place shorter elements in the front and taller things in the back. That way you don't have something like a tree that's covering another part of your build that you actually want people to see. Once you've got your layout complete, it's time to start building. And this should actually be the easy part of the process because of all the planning that you've done up until this point. I tend to start with the most important items of a build. I like to get those done first, whether it's an interesting building or a super cool tree design that you want to focus on and really nail. Once my main structural pieces and items of interest are completed, I start to move into filling in the gaps around those things. After that's done, I move on to the final step, which for me is minifigure placement. Once you're done making your build, the final step here is to share. Post your build online and get feedback from others. It may feel harsh at first, but it's only going to make you a better builder. One critique that I got that always sticks with me was from a friend that told me I need to use more snot techniques on one of my builds. I showed him something I was proud of, and he said, "Yeah, that looks great and all, but you need to use more snot building techniques with your rock work." I wasn't super happy to hear this feedback initially because I was just super happy about my build and I was excited to hear people say, "Hey, that looks good." But this simple critique that I received has made me a better builder. Every time I build rock faces, cliffs, or mountains in my builds, I remember this interaction and it pushes me to make my rock work better. I hope this video was informative and that it helped establish a clear path for how you can get into building your own MOCs. Let me know what other topics you'd like to see me cover in the comment section down below. And definitely tell me if you think I've missed anything. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video and give it a like if you thought it was helpful. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I hope you have a good one.